I do that?
Family Matters was more than just a sitcom. It was a cultural touchstone of the 1990s, delivering laughter and life lessons through the Winslow family and their unforgettable neighbor, Steve Urkel. But behind the cheerful theme song and comedic moments, many cast members faced heartbreaking struggles that never made it to the screen. From shocking early deaths to hidden battles with illness, addiction, and personal demons, the real stories of these actors are far darker than their on-screen personas. Why did Michelle Thomas, who played Myra Monkhouse, pass away at just 30 years old? How did Nia Rivera, known for her role as Gwendolyn, meet her tragic end while trying to save her son? And what quiet suffering did beloved matriarch Rosetta Lenor endure in her final years? This is the untold side of Family Matters, a story of fame, misfortune, and resilience. Some stars faded into obscurity, while others left us too soon. But their legacies, both on and off the screen, deserve to be remembered. Stick around as we uncover the heartbreaking truths behind the laughter. And if you want more deep dives into Hollywood's hidden tragedies, don't forget to subscribe. Now, let's begin with the woman who brought warmth to the Winslow household, only to face loneliness in her own life. Asterisk. Before she became the beloved matriarch of the Winslow family, Rosetta Lenor had already broken barriers as one of the first Black actresses to achieve success on Broadway. Her role as Estelle Winslow, the wise, loving grandmother, felt authentic because Rosetta brought decades of experience to the character. But her real life was far more complicated than the warm family moments portrayed on screen. Born in 1911, Rosetta faced relentless racism early in her career. She often recounted being denied roles because of her skin color, even as her talent shone through. Despite the obstacles, she persevered, eventually founding the Alma's Repertory Theater in 1968 to create opportunities for minority performers. Though she played a grandmother on TV, Rosetta never had children of her own, a personal regret she quietly carried. In her later years, diabetes took a devastating toll. She lost much of her vision and mobility, living alone in her modest New York home. While financially stable, with an estate worth an estimated $1 to $5 million, Rosetta poured much of her wealth into supporting young artists, leaving little for herself. She passed away on March 17, 2002, at age 90, from complications of diabetes. Though she left no biological family, her legacy lives on through the countless actors she mentored and through Estelle Winslow's enduring TV warmth, which masked a far more difficult real-life story. Next, Michelle Thomas burst onto Family Matters in 1993 as Myra Monkhouse, the love-struck teenager determined to win Steve Urkel's heart. With her infectious laugh and girl-next-door charm, she quickly became a fan favorite. But behind the scenes, Michelle was fighting a private battle far more brutal than any teenage heartbreak, one that would cut her life tragically short. Before joining Family Matters, Michelle had already made waves as Callie Rogers on The Young and the Restless, earning critical praise for her emotional range. Off-screen, she was in a passionate relationship with Cosby Show star Malcolm Jamal Warner, though the demands of her career and later her health struggles strained their bond. In 1997, at just 29 years old, Michelle received a devastating diagnosis, a rare and aggressive form of stomach cancer. She underwent grueling treatments while continuing to work, determined not to let illness derail her dreams. Michelle's impact endured. The Michelle Thomas Memorial Scholarship was established in her honor, helping aspiring actors pursue their dreams. A bittersweet legacy for a star whose own light was extinguished far too soon. Next, Nia Rivera first charmed audiences as young Gwendolyn in Family Matters, but it was her groundbreaking role as Santana Lopez on Glee that catapulted her to stardom. With her razor-sharp wit and powerhouse voice, Nia became an LGBTQ+ icon, only for her life to end in a tragedy that left Hollywood reeling. After Family Matters, Nia navigated the rocky transition from child actor to adult star. Her Glee role was initially minor, but she fought to make Santana one of TV's first openly lesbian Latina characters. Behind the scenes, her personal life was tumultuous, a whirlwind marriage to Ryan Dorsey, the birth of their son Josie, and a painful divorce in 2018. She later revealed struggles with postpartum depression and the trauma of a past abortion. On July 8, 2020, Nia took Josie for a boat ride on California's Lake Piru. When the vessel drifted, she used her last strength to boost her 4-year-old son safely back on board before disappearing underwater. Her body was recovered 5 days later. The coroner ruled it an accidental drowning, noting she'd saved Josie at the cost of her own life, a final act of love witnessed only by the lake's silent waters. Nia's death at 33 sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. Glee co-stars described her as a fierce protector, while fans mourned the loss of a talent who'd only begun to shine. Today, we'll examine Sherman Hemsley's bizarre posthumous battle, where the real drama began after his death. Though Sherman Hemsley only appeared briefly as Captain Savage on Family Matters, his legacy as George Jefferson from the Jeffersons made him a TV icon. With his fiery temper and unforgettable strut, Sherman created one of television's most groundbreaking black characters. But his final years were marked by isolation, and his death sparked a legal circus that overshadowed his storied career. After the Jeffersons ended in 1985, Sherman struggled to escape George Jefferson's shadow. He took stage roles and voice work, including Family Matters in 1994, but Hollywood rarely offered him different types of characters. Privately, the always private actor lived alone in El Paso, Texas, with just a close circle of friends. He never married or had children, telling interviewers, "My work was my family." In 2012, Sherman died at 74 from lung cancer, an illness he'd kept secret. What followed was stranger than any sitcom plot. A Philadelphia man named Richard Thornton claimed to be Sherman's long-lost brother and heir, while Sherman's business manager Flora in Chinon insisted she was his rightful beneficiary. Their court battle left Sherman's body unburied for months, stored in a funeral home freezer while lawyers fought. The case was finally settled in Chinnon's favor, but the spectacle tarnished the memory of a man who valued privacy above all. Today, Sherman's legacy lives on through the Jeffersons' streaming resurgence, proving that George Jefferson's move-in on up spirit outlasted even the messiest real-life drama. Next, we'll revisit Fred Willard's scandal, how a beloved comic genius faced humiliation in his golden years. Fred Willard brought his signature deadpan humor to Family Matters as Vice Principal Mallet, but his career spanned decades of iconic comedy, from Fernwood Tonight to Best in Show. Yet behind his effortless wit lay private tragedies and a late-career scandal that nearly derailed his legacy. After Family Matters, Willard became a Christopher Guest ensemble staple, improvising some of cinema's funniest, unscripted moments. But his personal life was marked by quiet sorrow. His 40-year marriage to Mary Willard ended with her 2018 death, leaving him bereft. Willard rebounded with self-deprecating cameos, even joking about the arrest on Jimmy Kimmel Live, but friends said he never fully recovered from the shame. A posthumous voice performance in Toy Story 4, proof that even after scandal and sorrow, laughter was his enduring legacy. Next, we'll uncover Ellen Albertini Dao's late-blooming fame and the decades of struggle that preceded it. Ellen Albertini Dao stole scenes in Family Matters as a quirky elderly character, but her show-stopping moment came at age 85 as the rapping grandmother in The Wedding Singer. Few knew this classically trained actress had waited nearly a lifetime for her big break, or that her final years were shadowed by profound loneliness. A Juilliard graduate, Ellen spent decades as a theater professor while taking minor TV roles, including Family Matters in 1990. Her big Hollywood break came absurdly late. Adam Sandler spotted her in a play and created The Wedding Singer S-Rap specifically for her. The scene went viral before viral existed, making her an unlikely cult icon. Off-screen, Ellen's 50-year marriage to composer Eugene Dao was her anchor. After his 2004 death, She confessed to friends that performing kept her going, though she often returned to an empty home. Despite accumulating a $2 million net worth, she lived simply in a California bungalow, donating generously to theater programs. At 101, pneumonia finally stilled the woman who'd rapped *rappers delight*, with more gusto than performers half her age. Her gravestone bears the epitaph she chose, still auditioning. Next, Ron Taylor's story reveals how the voice behind a Disney legend faced his own tragic finale. Ron Taylor brought his booming voice and commanding presence to Family Matters as Darnell Coleman. But his greatest claim to fame came from Under the Sea, as the original singing voice of Sebastian the Crab in Disney's The Little Mermaid. Despite this iconic role, Ron's life was cut short by health struggles that mirrored the industry's harsh realities for black performers. After studying opera at Juilliard, Ron became a go-to voice actor, contributing to classics like Aladdin and The Lion King. But his on-camera opportunities were frustratingly limited to tough guy or sidekick roles. They hear a black man's deep voice and think thug or sidekick, he once lamented in an interview. Privately, Ron battled obesity-related diabetes and hypertension for years. Married to singer Deborah Sharp Taylor, he was a devoted father to their 2 children, but mounting medical bills and inconsistent acting work strained the family's finances. On January 16, 2002, Ron suffered a fatal heart attack at just 49 years old. His death received little media attention, despite his contributions to beloved childhood films. Today, when audiences hear Sebastian sing Under the Sea, they're hearing Ron's legacy, a voice that brought joy to millions, even as its owner struggled in silence. Next, we'll examine how Barry Jenner's steady career masked a brutal health battle. Barry Jenner brought gruff charm to Family Matters as Lieutenant Lou Merita, but sci-fi fans knew him best from Star Trek and Babylon 5, though he worked steadily for decades. His career never achieved the stardom he hoped for, and his final years were consumed by a vicious health battle he fought in private. A reliable character actor since the 1970s, Jenner specialized in authority figures, doctors, officers, and bureaucrats. While this typecasting provided steady work, friends said he longed for meatier roles that never materialized. Off camera, his marriage to actress Suzanne Hunt weathered financial instability as acting jobs grew scarce in his later years. In 2015, Jenner was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. The treatment was brutal: multiple hospitalizations, experimental therapies, and dwindling savings as medical bills piled up, though he continued taking small roles between treatments. His final IMDb credit was fittingly for a 2016 Star Trek fan film. He died on August 9, 2016 at 75, leaving behind a modest estate of about $1 million, most of it absorbed by medical expenses. Unlike the captains he played on screen, Jenner never got a heroic send-off, just a quiet passing that mirrored his understated career. Next, we'll explore how Dick ONeal's decades of character work led to an equally understated exit. A familiar face in police procedurals and sitcoms, Dick ONeal appeared in Family Matters as Commissioner G, another in his long line of gruff authority figures. Though he worked consistently for over 40 years, his career exemplified Hollywood's unsung character actors, always working, rarely celebrated. Born in Chicago in 1928, ONeal built his reputation on playing no-nonsense cops, judges, and military officers. While the work was steady, he privately bristled at the limitations. "I could have played Hamlet," he once told a reporter, "but they only saw me as the guy holding the subpoena." Off camera, ONeal guarded his privacy fiercely. Rumors swirled about a failed early marriage and estranged children, but he never confirmed them. In his later years, congestive heart failure forced him to turn down roles. His final appearance was a 1998 NYPD Blue episode, fittingly as a retired detective. ONeal died of heart failure on November 17, 1998 at 70. No major obituaries ran. No co-stars gave tearful interviews. Just a quiet exit for a man who'd spent decades making leads look good, then faded into the background where Hollywood prefers its supporting players. Next, we'll examine Tom Poston's late career resurgence and the personal losses that undercut it. Tom Poston's brief but memorable Family Matters role as the eccentric Mr. Looney in 1994 was just one stop in a remarkable six-decade career. Though best known as the bumbling psychic on Newhart, Poston's life off-screen was marked by profound personal losses that made his comedic genius all the more extraordinary. After starting as a Broadway song and dance man, winning a Tony in 1959, Poston became a TV staple in the 1970s and 80s. His second act came via Newhart, where his dim-witted character George Utley earned him 3 Emmy nominations. But behind the scenes, tragedy struck when his first wife, Jean, died suddenly in 1978, leaving him to raise their daughter alone. His 1985 marriage to Newhart co-star Suzanne Pleshette became Hollywood legend, a passionate, volatile union where they frequently separated only to reconcile. Friends said Poston never fully recovered from Plechette's 2007 death, just 9 months before his own. Though financially secure with a $10 million estate, his final days were spent in respiratory distress, unable to perform the physical comedy that defined his career. When Poston died at 85 on April 30th, 2007, the industry mourned a master of slow-burn comedy. But his true legacy may be the resilience of a man who made generations laugh while carrying invisible grief. Family Matters gave audiences 9 seasons of warmth and comedy. But as we've seen, the cast's real lives contained tragedies no laugh track could soften. From Michelle Thomas's heartbreaking cancer battle at 30 to Nia Rivera's heroic final act, these stories reveal the painful duality of Hollywood, where on-screen joy often masks off-screen struggle. Some patterns emerge in the wreckage. The cruel typecasting that trapped Jaleel White and Sherman Hemsley, the health crises that claimed Ron Taylor and Barry Jenner too soon, the lonely final years endured by Rosetta Lenor and Ellen Albertini Dao. Even Fred Willard's scandal reminds us how quickly public perception can eclipse decades of goodwill. Yet there's beauty in their resilience. However briefly, they made audiences forget their pain, whether through Urkel's high-pitched "Got any cheese?" or Estelle Winslow's sage advice. That alchemy, turning personal sorrow into collective joy, may be their greatest legacy, as streaming introduces Family Matters to new generations. Let's remember the full humanity behind these characters. The next time you watch, listen closely. In the pauses between jokes, you might hear the echoes of all they survived. For more untold stories of your favorite shows, subscribe below. The truth behind the curtain is always more compelling than the fiction.